Hello guys and girls, welcome back to another video. Today we're checking out Harley Benton Strings. Let's go! So, a friend of mine tried these and it was suggested to try these strings by a local guitar player that is awesome. If you want to check it out, his name is Francesco Piu. He's an awesome slide guitar bluegrass player. But anyway, he uses these strings, which are very cheap, and he says that they're very nice, so why not give them a try? And so I did. In this video we're going to compare how they sound and how they feel. I can't tell you how long they last, which is the thing that makes me Elixir user. I use mostly Elixir strings on my guitars for the only reason that, yeah, they sound good, but they are long-lasting. And the fact that I can change my strings from 1 to 3 months, even more sometimes. So even though Elixirs tend to be probably the most expensive strings out there, they're not that far off from other strings, for example the WXS. And so the fact that I have to change them less often is in itself makes me spend less than using a cheaper set of strings, but having to change them every week because, for example, Ernieballs, Fenders, let's not talk about the Fenders, but many other brands that I used to tend to last a couple of weeks and then they're dead. And they tend to be okay for the first days and then they dive down to dullness. So that may be due to my sweat being very acid, I don't know. I always wipe the guitar every time I play, so I try to keep them as nice as possible, but that's the thing that happens. But I thought, if I can get away with these, that cost, a pair of these costs 1.5, I think. These are the non-coated, by the way. I also try the coated ones, and yeah, I could get away with these if I have to change them very often, but I want to see. So in a future video I will let you know how long these last, but for today we're just going to compare the feel and the sound. So I have my trusty PRS which is stringed right now with old Elixirs. I think they are a couple months old, and so bear that in mind. We're not comparing the sound of brand new Elixirs, but it's just for fun. Let's see if they can keep up with a brand new set of string despite being very cheap. So I want you to hear the comparison back to back, so I'm gonna do some video magic and now I'm gonna change the strings and then you're gonna hear them first the Elixirs, second these ones, the non-coated ones, and then the coated ones. Let's go! So, Harley Benton installed. Well, first of all, the feeling is good. As I said, the strings tend to retain a bit of their shape as they were bent. When you unwind it, it doesn't stay round like all the other strings I've tried tend to do. But that may be a known issue, just worth noting, because something that I always found that most of good strings that I played, when you unwrap them, they tend to retain a bow-like shape. And so if you tighten them in the right direction and not counter to that direction of the bow, they tend to last longer. But that's, as I said, that may be a known issue. Other than that, the tension on the strings, I think it's the same because the position of the bridge is as it was before, so floating. The action seems to be the same, so yeah. I think the tension is comparable to Elixirs, which isn't something that I can say of all strings, because for some brands tend to have a little more, a little less tension, and that is good because if you have Elixirs and you want to try these, then you don't have to do a whole setup to your guitar, and that's a plus. So one more thing about the feel, of course, the fact that they are not coated stands out to me because you always used to coated strings. But as I said, that's something that happens only if you use constantly coated strings, which I prefer. I prefer the feel of the the coated strings, because also when you're recording, it does less of the noise when you're sliding up and down, and that is a plus for me. But of course that's up to you when you're playing and how you like your guitar to sound. So now let's check the coated ones, and then we'll see how they compare to the others.
2,000 years later.
So now we're back with the coated strings. The feeling is, yeah, different than the other ones. They feel less resistant to the touch, so a bit like Elixir's OptiWeb, which are the ones that I'm most used to. But generally speaking, yeah, coated strings that tend to imitate non-coated strings. So they have a little bit of resistance, but not that much that you can hear the scratch too much. But now, let's hear them and we'll come to the conclusion. The first impression is, yes, I like the coated ones much more than the other ones, these. And yeah, these ones, I like them much better. I think as far as sound goes, they are pretty comparable with each other. I haven't found any significant difference. In the room, I think that I'm feeling they feel newer comparing to the old Elixirs, but bear in mind those were around a couple of months old, maybe. Sometimes I leave them on for 6 months, and they are fine. Yeah, they maybe not sound as new as they could, but they do work. And you know, the difference in sound that you get for a used string, you can get it out of a little bit of EQ. So yeah, that could be even negligible, especially on a live situation. But if you're a gigging musician and you tend to change your strings very often, maybe investing in a really good set of strings isn't the way to go, because you're wasting money. We know musicians don't tend to make a lot of money, and if you can save some of that with a set of strings that can get you during the night perfectly, I will let you know in the future video how they stack up as far as longevity, because right now I have no clue how long they will last. I will first try these on, and I'll go back to the no-coated version to see how those stack up. But yeah, I will update you right now. The feeling is like they sound good, they play good, and yeah, they're very cheap. So if you're ordering already something from Thomann, just give them a try. Put them on your cart, and you can also use them to try different string gauges, because you can get 1152s, 10s, 9s, even 8s, if you're a fan of Rick Beato. And yeah, that could be a cheap way to get into different string gauges, or even different tunings, because if you're ordering something like 1152s, you can try drop tunings, or you can buy 8 strings and, you know, put them on an ukulele, whatever. So this is it for today. I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!